What's up everybody, Mark Yancich here with Active Duty Passive Income. This video is going to be an introduction to my life and how I got into real estate investing, and also how the heck ADPI or Active Duty Passive Income was born, where it came from, and what we're doing today. So make sure you watch to the end because this is really my first YouTube video to kick off the new channel. So if you're unfamiliar with who I am, my name is Mark Yancich and I'm the founder of ADPI, or Active Duty Passive Income, the premier military real estate investing education platform and community. This channel is all about my personal journey and giving you guys a front seat to my real estate investing, like trials and tribulations, failures and wins, right? And also just all of the entrepreneurial things that I have experienced and that I started as an active duty Marine. So if you think you're in the right place, hit the subscribe and bell button, show some love with a like, and then kick back and prepare for some transparent truth bombs. Like I said, so this video is going to be basically an introduction to our channel, to me, to my journey, to what ADPI is all about. So let's rewind way back. Okay, I got into real estate for one reason and one reason only, and it was love. Believe it or not. After the basic school, I went down to Pensacola, Florida, to start studying and getting prepared to become a naval aviator in the Marine Corps. And I met my now wife, Katya, in Milan, Italy on a trip after TBS. Ever since then, I did everything in my power to save money so I could go see her as many times as possible. It was a crazy 2 years of flight school, and I did everything. I saved money with the Acorns app. I tried creating all sorts of crazy accounts, credit card stuff. I did, you name it, I did it, all right? The cool thing is I succeeded. I was actually able to go see her as many times as possible. I think I pulled off more little stints of leave in between our training than anybody else around me. I think I ruffled some feathers because I had to get some leave approved at times that weren't the best, let's put it that way. If anybody's been to API and had to take the NAV exam, guess what? I went on leave right before that too. Anyway, I'm getting at is I was constantly thinking about money. I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I save enough money to go see her every couple of months, every 3, 4, 5 months, right? And eventually it just hit me. I was like, can I just make more money? Is that a bad thing to say when I'm in the Marine Corps? As an active duty military officer, is it okay for me to vocalize that? Can I start reading books about that? Are people gonna judge me? Is it okay to just be wealthy and serve my country? Is that kosher? Anyway, so I kind of didn't have a choice, right? I was in love. The choice was made for me. So I kind of started diving into that world. Now I'm going to do a quick little rewind even farther back, all right? I am actually originally from Ukraine as well, just like my wife, Katya, hence the name. I actually grew up in Ukraine. I was born there 6 months prior to the fall of the Soviet Union. My dad and mom ended up, so they are second generation immigrants. Their grandparents moved here post-World War II, religious oppression, what have you. My parents grew up in the States, and then they actually ended up back in Ukraine somewhat serendipitously because they needed to do a student exchange program, and that's when I was born. My dad was an engineer at MIT trying to write his dissertation on Chernobyl. Nobody knew how he would do it. Anyways, long story short, he ended up in Ukraine, and I was born there 6 months prior to the fall of the Soviet Union. Crazy story, right? Now, I ended up living there most of my life. So the country of my heritage, where my parents' parents came from, ended up being basically my home until I was 15 and a half. Now, other than a brief stint in like 2 years in London when I was in pre-K and maybe 1 year in Sterling, Virginia when I was in kindergarten, other than that, my whole formative life was up until I was 15 and a half was growing up in Ukraine, right? I went to a Ukrainian school first and second grade, and then I ended up going to, I was basically homeschooled 3rd through 9th grade in Ukraine by my parents in English, so I would actually understand English on an academic level because they knew that I would eventually move back to the States. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you all this is because I grew up with kind of a different perspective. I grew up in a country that was experiencing the fall of the Soviet Union, the shadow of that, the aftermath, right? And when I came to the States every summer to visit my grandparents, I was just in shock and awe of how awesome America is. So when I finally moved to America, went to high school, ended up going to the Naval Academy, commissioned as a Marine, became a pilot, and all this stuff happened, I was just, I think there was a seed planted inside me from a very young age, and it was trying to figure out why America was so awesome, right? What was it that made America tick financially? That is what I wanted to figure out. I'm now realizing that that is kind of what was the motivator behind a lot of what I was doing. Now, couple that seed planted in me that just wanted to figure America out, plus me being in love, match those things up together, and boom, I had to figure out a way to make more money, even while in the military. I decided it was just gonna happen, right? Well, lo and behold, I started Googling, started researching, found a lot of really cool people, a lot of people that were very, very successful, started studying them, and then I stumbled upon a single book that would change my life forever. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the Purple Bible, whatever you want to call it, right? Robert Kiyosaki, a former Marine, also a helicopter pilot, fought in the Vietnam War, absolute badass, right? He wrote this book that was kind of pseudo based on a true story, but not really. He really kind of engineered it to become an epiphany moment for people that really wanted to understand the difference between creating assets and liabilities and all this kind of stuff. And it just blew my mind. And I read that, and from that point forward, I decided I was going to do real estate. I was going to figure out a way to get into real estate and start creating streams of income instead of constantly worrying about saving away so I could do the things I wanted to do. Okay? That's basically my story in the very beginning, in a nutshell. Now, if I would have to add one more thing, the reason why Rich Dad Poor Dad resonated with me immediately is because I started realizing also that the high 3 retirement, the 20-year retirement, whatever you want to call it, wasn't really that appealing to me. However, it was very appealing in general to most military members and people out there that heard about it. The reason being is because at its core, when I started thinking about it was passive income. What is that retirement? It says basically, hey, you spend 20 years in the military, the average last 3 years before you retire, we're going to give you 50% of that or more if you spend more time in the military. And so I was like, hey, even for, a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps, for example, that's still not that crazy. It's a great buffer, don't get me wrong. But I was like, that didn't get me excited, to be honest. So I did the math with some of the real estate ideas that I had, and I was like, you know what? If I just spend my military career doing these things, the real estate passive income, the cash flow, will overshadow any of my military retirement if I spend a full 20 years in. I think a very important point to be made in this video in particular is that nobody on our team at Active Duty Passive Income, nor will I ever say anything along the lines of real estate being a get-rich-quick scheme. Obviously, that has a negative connotation, but also I'm never going to allude to real estate being a quick thing anyway. Period. End of story. Real estate is not something that you can figure out quickly, easily, without education. Just follow a quick sheet or a guide or cheat sheet, whatever. That's not how it works. But what it is it is a path well followed by many, many real estate investors, many, many military real estate investors and their families, right? And it is something that you can do you can do it slowly. You don't have to just dive in head first. If you want to do some of the really serious stuff like syndications, yes, you absolutely have to commit a lot of time to it, but you can start dipping your toe in and just taking little bits of action step by step by step, increasing your education, and then finally taking, I call it like the action ladder, like one thing after another, right? And you don't have to know, what the top of that staircase looks like. It's kind of like the Martin Luther King quote, you just have to take that first step. This channel is all about how I went through all the struggles and all the wins and all the trials and all the tribulations and all the successes and aha moments, right? Also, I'm going to be talking about how our team does exactly that as well, and then how we put all that into our company, Active Duty Passive Income, and how we're trying to teach everybody to be able to do the same thing. All of the educational content on our YouTube channel is absolutely free. So if you feel like this is striking a chord, or it's what you needed, or if you really enjoy any of this content, please think about doing a small little tiny donation to us and hitting the like button or the subscribe button. It really means a lot to us. Also, if you do subscribe, make sure you hit the little bell button. It'll make sure that you get notified when we create another video and send it your way. And last but not least, make sure you check all the links in the description. We have a ton of free resources. Sometimes we will be dropping some links in there to our favorite books. Some of them will be affiliated links. Just so you know, we will probably get paid for some of the links you click, like to Amazon or third-party websites, but that is literally just to support this channel, and we will never put anything in our links that we don't actually use or believe in anyway. So just want to throw that out there. The description does have a bunch of awesome and valuable content, so please check it out. And that's pretty much it. So thank you for tuning in. See you guys in the next video. Markian Sitch with ADPI is out. Bye.